That night, my uncle came back with his girlfriend in the dark. He said with a panicked expression, "Dad, it seems like someone is following me." My grandfather said with a grim face, "Not human. It's in the netting, monster." My grandpa had barely finished speaking. Then the sound of footsteps tapping was heard. The night was eerily quiet. The sound of footsteps was particularly jarring. "The sound is not far from our house. It won't be long. The monster will enter the courtyard." My grandmother was stomping her feet in anxiety. "Have you forgotten the village rules? You must not go out after dark." The bus we took back broke down halfway, delayed for half a day. "The people on the bus all got off at night, Marv. Hurry up and open the door. Let us in." My grandma and grandpa exchanged glances, with a look of concern. 2 months ago, Chun Shan from the front yard was deceived by the monster. Opened the door at night, let the monster into the house. The whole family was eaten by the monster. My grandpa took 2 puffs of his pipe. "Tell Mingzi to take the girl and hide in the west room first. Don't come out." As soon as my grandpa finished speaking, the sound of footsteps could be heard. The sound was getting closer, as if right at the courtyard gate. "The monster is about to enter the courtyard." My uncle glanced back, with fear in his eyes, said angrily, "Dad, there's no evil warding stone in the west room. The monster can get in. Are you trying to kill me?" My grandma cried and said, "Old man Jen's name. Open the door quickly. Let them in." My grandpa scowled and refused. "If you want to live, listen to me," I cried out. "His real name is our own son." My grandpa tightly gripped my grandma's arm. "Don't let grandma open the door." My grandpa whispered, "Old woman, the monster has mutated again. They can know the memories of the people they've eaten. Listen to me. Wait until dawn to open the door." My grandmother said with red eyes, "What if it's really a name? We can't just stand by and watch him die." My grandpa frowned and said, "There's also an evil warding stone in the west room. Don't worry." My grandma froze for a few seconds. He whispered, "Each family only has one evil warding stone. Where did you get the second piece?" My grandpa's face darkened. "Don't you worry about that." My grandpa had just finished speaking. There was a sudden tap-tap sound, as if someone was standing at the courtyard gate. My uncle glanced toward the courtyard gate, as if he saw a ghost. He scrambled towards the west room in a panic. His girlfriend also ran into the west room. The door of the west room was slammed shut. Tap, tap. 2 more sounds of the monster entered the courtyard. Before I could see the monster's appearance clearly, my grandma quickly closed the curtains. The evil suppressing stone hanging on the door was emitting a sinister black aura, exuding an eerie aura. My grandmother held me in her arms, covered my ears with her hands, but I could still hear the footsteps in the yard. My grandma whispered, "This is bad. The west room has no curtains. Mingzi and his girlfriend would be terrified if they saw the monster." Initial. My grandpa took 2 puffs of his pipe, said helplessly, "Better than being eaten by the monster." Early the next morning, at the break of dawn, my uncle took out the evil suppressing stone from the west room. He looked grim. "The village's rule. Each family can only have 1 evil warding stone." "Where did this evil warding stone come from?" My grandpa took 2 puffs of his pipe, said grumpily, "What do you want to do? If it weren't for this evil warding stone, you wouldn't have survived till dawn. Would have been eaten by the monster long ago." My uncle said grumpily, "I'm going to report you to the village chief for stealing the evil suppressing stone." I grabbed my uncle's arm, saying, "What are you doing? He's your own father. The rule in our village, those who steal the ward stones must be tied up, hung on the tree overnight. Yet no one has ever survived. By dawn, all were devoured by the monsters at night." My uncle glared fiercely at my grandmother. "Last night, I begged desperately. You refused to open the door. Did you ever treat me as your own son?" After saying this, my uncle pushed my grandma to the ground. "Mingzi's mother knows you've been wronged and are upset, but you can't push your own father into the fire pit." My uncle snorted coldly. "Wait to die." After saying this, my uncle walked towards the courtyard. My grandma was about to chase after him, was stopped by my grandpa. "Old man, why are you stopping me?" "Wife, if you want to live, listen to me." I looked at my grandpa in confusion. "Later, the village chief will bring people to take me away." "Don't stop the village chief. Wait until the hour of Shen. You take Xiao Nianzi to the village chief's house. Ask the village head's wife for a willow branch. Wait until dark. You bring the willow branch to the village entrance to find me. No matter what you see along the way, don't respond to anything you hear, and don't look back." My grandma froze for a few seconds. "Will this work? There are menacing creatures out at night." I also whispered, "When we get to the village entrance, burn the willow branches. Can save me." "Old man, I don't understand what you're saying. Why do we need to get willow branches from the village chief's wife? Can't we just break one ourselves?" "Number, if you want to live, do as I say." As soon as my grandpa finished speaking, then there was a noise at the courtyard gate. The village chief led the villagers into the courtyard with an aggressive demeanor. The village chief said sternly, "Tie him up." As soon as the village chief finished speaking, several young men tied me up as well. The village chief said impatiently, "The village's rule. Each family can only have one evil warding stone. Where did Chun Kui get this extra evil suppressing stone?" I also kept a straight face and said nothing. The village chief frowned and said, "Chun Kui, as long as you explain clearly where this evil suppressing stone came from, spare you this once." My grandpa narrowed his eyes, said with a smile, "Village chief, why are you panicking? It's not like we're taking your family's evil warding stone." As soon as my grandpa finished speaking, the villagers all looked at each other in dismay. The village chief asked if it was the stolen warding stone from the Chun family, whispering among themselves. The village chief frowned and said no, visible to the naked eye. "Chun Kui, I think you're looking for death." Village chief, "How many hours did it take you to walk from your house to mine?" "Chun Kui, I think you're looking for death." Village chief, "How many hours did it take you to walk from your house to mine?" The village chief said grumpily, "What's wrong with 10 hours? My house is not far from the village chief's house. It takes at most 10 minutes to walk." The villagers were all stunned for a moment, looked at the village chief in confusion. The village chief said impatiently, "What are you looking at? Take Chun Kui away. Hang on the tree." The villagers all thought the village chief was so angry that he misspoke. No one paid attention. My grandma wanted to stop my grandpa, persuaded to come back by a glance from my grandpa. My grandma was so anxious that she kept stomping her feet. My uncle was standing by making sarcastic remarks. "Serves you right. Who told him to steal the evil repelling stone? He deserves to die for stealing someone else's ward stone." I raised my hand and slapped my uncle. "You beast. How could a son report his own father in this world? Get out. Get out of here." My grandma angrily pushed my uncle out. My uncle snorted coldly, said angrily, "I'm not leaving. This is my home. You should be the one to leave." My uncle's expression was fierce as he spoke, as if about to throw a punch. My grandma froze for a few seconds. Tears kept streaming down uncontrollably. My uncle said with a stern face, "I'm hungry. Hurry up and make me something to eat." After saying this, my uncle left the courtyard with his girlfriend, said they were going to take a walk around the village. My grandma wiped away her tears, shouted at my uncle's retreating figure to come back early. "There are monsters out after dark." My uncle seemed not to hear, didn't say a word. I could only sigh helplessly, turned and entered the storage room. Only I remained in the yard. I was playing with stones at the foot of the wall. Suddenly, I heard a noise at the courtyard gate. I glanced towards the courtyard gate. I saw my uncle standing at the courtyard gate. He was staring at me. His eyes were darting around. I don't know why I saw my uncle. I feel inexplicably scared, an inexplicable panic. Subconsciously wanted to run. He waved at me, motioned for me to come over. I'm a bit scared. Took 2 steps back. For some reason, I always feel like my uncle's face looks a bit off. The more I look, the more eerie it feels. Different from when we left in the morning. Is that a monster standing at the courtyard gate? But now it's broad daylight with plenty of sunlight. The monster doesn't dare to come out. Seeing me standing still, my uncle's eyes rolled back and forth a couple of times, as if to harm someone. My uncle had a smile on his face, waved at me again. I gathered my courage and said, "Uncle, how did you come back so soon?" My uncle kept staring at me, gestured for me to come over. I shook my head. "I won't go." My uncle kept staring at me, gestured for me to come over. I shook my head. "I'm not going." I had barely finished speaking. My uncle's expression changed. His eyes turned crimson, looked at me with a fierce expression, as if he wanted to devour me whole. I'm a little scared, afraid that my uncle would come into the yard and eat me. I hurried into the storeroom. My grandma is cooking in the storeroom. "Why are you running?" "My uncle is at the yard gate, telling your uncle to come back for dinner. The meal is almost ready." "Granny, I'm scared." My grandmother froze for a few seconds. "What is there for your uncle to be afraid of?" My grandma frowned. He led me out of the storeroom, looked towards the courtyard gate. There was no one at the courtyard gate. I then called out names toward the courtyard gate. "Dinner is ready." No one responded. I then walked to the courtyard gate, glanced outside the courtyard gate. There's nobody there. Why did the person leave again? After saying this, my grandma went back to the storeroom. He prepared the meal, started to instruct me. "Xiaomianzi, when it gets dark, we'll go save your grandpa. No matter what you see or hear, don't speak a word, and never look back. Remember, no talking. There are monsters at night." This is the method your grandpa mentioned, and insisted that I must bring you along. Don't be afraid. My grandma took a chicken leg from the plate and told me to eat more. I was eating the chicken leg heartily. The chicken leg was stewed until tender and flavorful. My grandma glanced outside. It's almost Shen hour. After saying this, my grandma led me towards the village chief's house. The road was eerily quiet. Not a soul in sight. The sky was a bit gloomy. The surroundings looked eerie. It looks like it's going to rain. My grandma picked me up, hurriedly ran towards the village chief's house. We soon arrived at the village chief's house. The village chief was sitting in the yard smoking a pipe. Saw my grandmother. He said grumpily, "Queasy has committed a serious offense. Pleading with me is useless. I must give the villagers an explanation." After the village chief finished speaking, took 2 more puffs of the pipe. Seeing I remained silent, the village chief added, "Go back. Whether Queasy can survive, it's up to his fate." Village chief, "I'm looking for Shangzi." His mother, the village chief, was stunned for a few seconds. Said irritably, "What do you want with him?" I forced a dry laugh. Didn't say anything. The village chief shouted towards the west room, "Come out if you want to die, woman." As soon as the village chief finished speaking, his wife came out from the west room. The village chief's wife looked very pale, as thin as a bamboo pole. Half a month ago, the village head's wife was still very plump. She's become so emaciated. "Auntie, I came to ask you for willow branches." The village chief's wife had a vacant stare, ashen-faced. He first glanced at the village chief, then dragged my grandma to the courtyard gate. He whispered, "Don't trust anyone after dark. Words, and don't look back." After saying this, the village head's wife stuffed a small section of willow branch into my grandmother's hand. Willow branch. "Auntie, are you sick? You don't look well. Many people in the village are sick. Be careful." The village chief's wife said this and then left. I stood there, frowning deeply, remained silent for a long time. As the sky darkened, the surroundings were hazy and gloomy. It's getting dark. It's not dark yet. There's still sunlight. Let's head to the village entrance now. After saying this, my grandma led me towards the village entrance. But we had only walked about 78 meters when we ran into my uncle. My uncle was smiling, his eyes darting around, as if intentionally waiting for us here. My uncle was smiling with his eyes darting around, as if deliberately waiting for us here. I instinctively hid behind my grandmother. My grandma saw my uncle. He said anxiously, "Mingzi, go home quickly. It's getting dark." My uncle said with a laugh, "What are you guys up to? We'll go home soon too. You go back first. Where's the girlfriend you brought back? Don't let him wander around. Tell him to quickly hide in the house." I had just finished speaking. My uncle's eyes rolled around eerily twice. He said anxiously, "Mom, Zhao is missing. Hurry up and help me find him." My grandma froze for a few seconds. "Quickly bring the person back. It's about to get dark. There are man-eating creatures in the village at night." "Yes, let's hurry and find her." When did Zhao go missing? Where did it disappear? At the foot of the back mountain. The foot of the back mountain is in the opposite direction from the way to the village entrance. My grandmother looked up at the sky, helplessly said, "There's no time. Name, you go back home and hide." My uncle stared at my grandma for a moment. He smiled and said, "No, I have to save Zhao." After saying this, my uncle headed towards the back mountain. The sky grew increasingly dark. A cold wind was also blowing. I hurriedly stopped my uncle from going back. "Mother, you're going to your death. Go to the back mountain with me to find Xiao. More people can find Xiao faster." "No, there's no time. The sun sets in the blink of an eye. Go home and hide quickly." My grandma's voice was trembling as she spoke, but my uncle seemed not to hear. He said irritably, "Can't find Zhao. I'm not going home." After saying this, my uncle strode towards the back mountain. The wind grew stronger and stronger. The wind was so strong that it made it hard to keep one's eyes open. In the blink of an eye, the sun was about to set. My grandmother was so anxious that she stomped her feet. She grabbed my uncle's arm, but my uncle dodged it. My uncle glared fiercely at my grandmother, as if there was some deep-seated hatred. "Mingzi, hurry home." As soon as my grandma finished speaking, the sun had set. In the blink of an eye, it's dark now. The wind has also stopped. It was very quiet all around. Me held my hand, warily looking around. The sound of footsteps came from the woods. Tap tap. The sound was piercing. I'm so scared, tightly gripping my grandmother's arm. Behind me came the sound of my uncle's voice. "Mom, I'm going to find Zhao." I dared not look back. Didn't dare to speak. She wasn't sure whether it was my uncle or the man-eating monster behind her. Me grabbed my hand and walked toward the village entrance. In the distance, the sound of footsteps tapping could be heard again. I saw my grandpa standing in front. He was hunched over, 2 eyes glowing red, like a man-eating monster. My grandma grabbed my hand and headed toward the village entrance. In the distance, the sound of footsteps came again. I saw my grandpa standing in front. He was hunched over, his eyes bloodshot, like a man-eating monster, staring at us intently. As we passed by him, my grandpa suddenly spoke. "Old woman, it's so late. Why aren't you going back home yet? Avoiding my grandpa. His voice sounded exactly the same as usual, except for the blood-red eyes. No other difference. My grandma's face was covered in cold sweat. He led me forward, after just a few steps. The sound of my uncle's wailing came from behind. Auntie, don't blame me for not eating my mother. Save me quickly. My uncle's wailing was very loud, as if right behind me. The hand holding mine was trembling uncontrollably. My grandpa stared at us intently. He was following right behind us, occasionally speaking a few words. Go back quickly. Don't be fooled by him. The thing hanging at the village entrance is a monster. He deliberately made you go save him. He is the monster. He controls us to sleepwalk at night, killing each other. The evil warding stone is just a lie he made up. The evil warding stone is not for warding off evil at all, but an evil object he used to control the great fire. Go back quickly. 2 streams of bloody tears flowed from my grandpa's eyes. It didn't seem like he was lying. I stood there in a daze for a few seconds. My grandpa continued to speak. Never burn the willow branches. He is the monster. Kill him at high noon. Pierced his heart with a willow branch. Only then will the villagers be saved. Go back. Go back. My grandma's legs were trembling as she walked. He led me to continue walking forward. There were more villagers ahead. They looked strange, their eyes gleaming with excitement, staring fixedly at me and my grandma. They all crowded around, but they all stopped half a meter away from us. Aunt Chun from the front yard said, Auntie, where are you going so late at night? I dared not answer. Continue moving forward. The little doozy looked at me and said, Little Swallow has gone mute. Why aren't you saying anything? Little Bean's eyes were darting around restlessly. Looks scary. I lowered my head. Don't look. Xiao Doozy could hear the villagers talking all around him. My grandma led me towards the village entrance. I don't know how far we've walked. Finally saw the village's locust tree. My grandpa was hanging from the locust tree. Under the locust tree stood a crowd of monsters.